it may be pretty hard to believe that there have been some pretty amazing discoveries made lately, advancements in medical sciences, new planets, new creatures, and some pretty scary sounding facts, here are 10 of the most mind-blowing discoveries we've made. Undead gene. People have wondered for years what happens when we die. Obviously, our bodies begin to shut down and we decay. But in June 2016, researchers at the University of Washington in Seattle discovered the undead gene. While some of us may be thinking, do you want zombies? Because that is how you get zombies, scientists aren't looking for a way to activate these genes to allow for reanimation. The genes appeared in animals shortly after death, and researchers believe that these genes could help improve the preservation of organs destined for transplantation. They also found that some of the genes that promote cancer become more active, which would explain why people who receive transplants for the recently deceased have higher risks of cancer. Ninth planet. The hunt for a ninth planet may be nothing new, but it's been going on for decades. Even though Pluto was demoted to dwarf status in August 2006, scientists recently discovered another planet beyond Neptune. Planet 9 is a hypothetical large planet on the outer reaches of our solar system. It was in January 2016 that researchers Konstantin Batygin and Michael Brown discovered the planet thought to be 5,000 times the mass of Pluto. A single year on Planet 9 is equal to 17,000 years here on Earth. Because of its unusual orbit and mass, it seems to be slowly twisting the solar system out of alignment. But it's not as scary as it sounds. Scientists are still looking into the effects of this mysterious planet. Cybernetic implant. While the idea of cybernetics may sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, we're getting closer and closer to achieving it on some level every year. In April 2016, scientists implanted an electrical device into the motor cortex, the part of the brain that controls movement, of a paralyzed man named Ian Burkhart. They also connected a sleeve of electrodes to his forearm to help receive the signals. The implant allowed him to move his hand, wrist, and fingers for the first time in 5 years. Chad Booten of the Feinstein Institute for Medical Research in New York and his team created the device. Due to the success with Burkhart, scientists hope that the technology could one day be used to help quadriplegics regain autonomy. Stem cells help stroke patients heal. For years, scientists have been researching the benefits of stem cells, but it's only been recently that we've seen the results. In 2016, a clinical trial was held at Stanford University's School of Medicine involving patients that had suffered several chronic strokes. Modified human stem cells were injected directly into their brains, and aside of mild headaches, no negative side effects have occurred in the 18 patients that participated. The results showed that all of the patients continued to heal beyond the usual time frame and were even noticing increased mobility. Some patients were even able to walk where they had previously been limited to wheelchairs. Gene mutation that caused life on Earth. For billions of years, life consisted of single-celled organisms just floating around the oceans. One day, something triggered a change, causing the single cells to evolve into multicellular creatures. For years, scientists have tried to identify that trigger, but it wasn't until early 2016 that they found their answer. In Atlanta, Georgia, a group of evolutionary biologists discovered a lone gene capable of mutating single-celled organisms into multicellular organisms. Named ACE2, this tiny variation in DNA caused a protein to switch its role as an enzyme to a new one that allowed for the rearrangement. 5D storage. We all know that time makes fools of us all and that everything eventually begins to decay or disintegrate. With this in mind, we also know that nothing lasts forever, so how can we be sure our information lasts? Well, in February 2016, scientists in Southampton finalized the design for a digital data storage device capable of surviving for billions of years. Referred to as a 5-dimensional data storage, the disks are made using nanostructured glass and can store up to 360 terabytes on a single 5D disk. Unlike traditional CD storage, these disks are not vulnerable to heat, scratches, humidity, or exposure to oxygen. Imagine being able to store copies of the most important documents on a device that could outlive the human race itself. Trees sleep. Pretty much all life on Earth needs to sleep at some point. But what about trees? Until recently, it seemed like a silly question, but in May 2016, researchers in Austria, Hungary, and Finland used laser scanners to study the day-night rhythms of trees. Through their research, they found that trees are no different than most other living organisms and do indeed need to sleep. During the nighttime hours, the lasers showed that the entire tree droops gradually and then begins to perk up again just before sunrise. Multiple trees were observed to rule out effects of weather and location, and the findings were the same. Earth's other moon. During the spring months of 2016, researchers found that Earth has more than satellites, space junk, and chunks of floating rocks orbiting around it. In addition to our known moon, researchers discovered a second object, roughly 120 feet across and 300 feet wide. It's believed that it has been orbiting us for over 100 years and will continue to orbit us for hundreds more. It was named 2016 HO3 after being discovered over Hawaii. This mini-moon, which is really an asteroid, poses no threat to us, however, as it never gets any closer than 9 million miles. Stem cells to repair spinal injury. Spinal cord injury can often lead to mobility issues and occur when the spinal cord becomes damaged. Due to the devastating effects spinal cord injury can have, scientists have been looking for new ways to improve the lives of those suffering. While the idea of using stem cells isn't a new idea, it wasn't until 2016 that researchers at the University of California were able to successfully use a specialized type of stem cell to regrow nerve tissue. Using immature neural stem cells, researchers were able to regenerate nerve cells between the brain and the spine. However, tests have only been successful in lab mice so far, and we're still a few years away from human trials. Climbing fish. Albert Einstein once said, "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." In March 2016, scientists discovered the Cryptora thamicola, a fish with the ability to climb. The blind, cave-dwelling fish was discovered in Thailand. It uses its front two fins and back two fins to pull itself up rocks and waterfalls in a very similar way to salamanders. Unlike other walking fish like the mudskipper and climbing perch, this fish doesn't push itself with its tail using side-to-side movements. Instead, it plants its fins and moves the same way a four-legged vertebrate might. What do you think of these scientific discoveries? Let us know in the comments down below. And while you're here, check out our other videos over at The Richest, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, and bye-bye.